Hello, everybody. Welcome. Looks like I'm tilted there. All right. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show how the new Norato narrative intelligence works with the new Dramatica platform, and kind of go over. Oh, on a delay. Go over how you could just start from complete scratch and develop a complete story, complete series. And this might be a couple different live streams, might not just get it all done in one, but we'll see how it goes. Feel free to ask any questions as we go along. Afterwards, the recording will be available. I will be putting it up here in the discuss.dramatica.com forums. I'm trying to migrate a lot of the conversation that was in the Discord over to uh, this new platform just because it's more public and more easily accessible. Plus, this is where I started this back in 2014 or 2015. So there's hundreds of thousands of messages in here. Currently, it's just me a lot. So feel free to, ask questions here. I'll have the recordings will be saved here. And then if you had any other questions about stuff as we go forward, that would be really great. Because this is I want to show I've been pitching this a lot to a bunch of different people, and they always want to try and put it in a box like, oh, is this just for development, is this just for analysis, is this just for screenwriting? And the answer is yes, it's all of them. And I just figure it's better just to have the experience of somebody going through and developing a story and just seeing how that would work. So let me make sure I got the chat up here high enough. And so, yeah, right now, what you would do is you would go to dramatica.com, and it's been flipped. The switch has been flipped. So now it's just the platform here. And if you're looking for stuff like the theory book and all this publicly available story forms and all that stuff, we will be bringing some of that over. It just has to get realigned with the new platform behind the scenes and make it look really nice. And then it will be back up there. But until then, you feel free to use the platform and sign up for it, and you can start using it right away. So yeah, the community will take you to the Discuss forum. Um, the docs obviously will be all the documentation that I will update, and then you can just go straight into the platform. And what this is going to be eventually is there's going to be a whole bunch of different apps that you'll be able to use. Just something that's all these different things will be plugging into the intelligence that we're kind of creating behind the scenes, which is a combination of both Subtext, which is the app that I built for the last 8 years. Actually, I think this month, it might even be today, is the 8-year anniversary of when I started. Oh, that's funny. And the Dramatica platform is essentially like version 5 or version 6 of Subtext. So it's just a rebranding over the top of it. Plus, it gives me an opportunity to clean up a lot of technical debt that I have incurred over the last 8 years and make it really snappy and run amazingly. So this is the platform here. Right now, there's just Narrova, which is what we'll be going over today. And then, of course, Subtext. That will take you to the current implementation, or at least this has everything in it, right? Everything from the story starters. Oh, you know what? I just realized nobody's telling me because it's been a while since I've live streamed. Um, and that's only because uh, Chicago, Open AI completely changed their API on me in March, the thing that Muse runs on. So the last 3.5 months, I have been rigorously fixing everything. But I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen. So let me rewind a bit. And then that should be dramatica.com. And it will pop up right now. Oh no, don't I have to do this? And then I do this and then it pops up, right? Oh, let's see here. Do I go back here? There it is. Yep. And then I can go back here. All right. So, as I was saying in the beginning, this is the new dramatica.com website. right? Everything is here. The switch has been flipped. So this will be where you come to do everything in the future. I'm in the process of porting over everything from the subtext app into the new Dramatica platform, and it's essentially the next version of it using all the new APIs and technology that's come out in the last couple of months so that it works insanely better than Muse, but builds up on top of everything. So I can use a lot of what I've already built, but just make it better. So what I was trying to show was the community will take you to discuss.dramatica.com, which again is a forum that I had started, I think 2014. And so it's got a really robust, lots and lots of information here if you want to learn all about Dramatica theory. And of course, ask any questions. Feel free to leave support if it's very specific about the app. Sometimes it's easier if you just use the in-app support. But if not, go ahead and leave here. And I will be putting up the recordings here of this live stream, which again will take probably a couple stabs at it. Oh, you know what? I did not flip it over. All right, here we go. I'm gonna get this. Right. So this is subtext discuss.dramatica.com. So right now it's the subtext Dramatica platform. So feel free to hop on over here, leave any comments, ask questions, any follow up, and the recordings will be posted here. Perfect. So that's discuss. So then if I go back to here and I say tab instead, now we're back here and you can just go to the platform. So the platform, like I was trying to show before, is the hub of everything. So there'll be all these different apps that plug into the narrative intelligence that we're building in the background. And of course, then you'll eventually be able to plug in your own stuff into it. But for right now, I'm just going to go over Narrato, which is the next gen narrative intelligence that we built. If you wanted to, you could go to subtext, and that would be the current application that has been in production for 8 years now, probably 8 years today. I'll have to look and see when I started it. And um, if you have a subscription, some people get confused about this, but one subscription goes to both. It's the same thing. So if you subscribe to Subtext, you automatically have a subscription to the platform. It should do it automatically. If it doesn't, just contact us and then we can hook it up for you. Same vice versa. If you have a subscription to the Dramatica.com platform, you automatically have Subtext is this. Come on, flip over. There it goes. So then, yeah, this is the current application where you got everything, all these cool story starters and stuff. I'll be bringing all this stuff over to the new Dramatica platform. Just give me some time to do that. And yeah, so then subscription works for both. So I wanted to get that across. And back here on the platform, again, it's very, very simple. I should have, come on, babe. There it goes. Pricing will have, the pricing for the different streams. I'm going to change it a little bit where, um, kind of, um, so there'll be essentially the same price that you're doing now. But if you're in a particularly creative mode and you need to like purchase tokens and all that stuff, you'll be able to add it onto the thing, and then you can purchase extra minutes, just like a cell phone back in the day. Same idea. So it'll be more like your gas bill or your electric bill for AI. And then if you're interested in it, the narrative context protocol, which will probably be coming up a lot in the next year, which is essentially the open source standard for uh, using all of this intelligence across all kinds of different applications that people can plug into, find their own story forms, and do all that stuff. There's a lot of initiatives that are going on behind the scenes for that. All right, I think that's most of the housekeeping. So what I did is I wanted to show how you could just start from nothing and then figure out your story form and kind of build it from there. So what I did is I went into my chat GP and did a little deep research, which there'll be some form of this that'll come to Naruto. It'll just take me some time to get over. It's low priority because you can do this right here. It's super easy. But I just asked, I said, I turned on deep research and I said, I want to do deep research for romantic comedy about technology and mysticism and the occult. Please do an exhaustive background study on all of this, including potential character sketches, background locations, and thematic material. So just strict storytelling and run of the mill stuff that you would get anywhere. Essentially, I would assume you already have something that you're interested in writing, some kind of story, all the characters, all the different world building. Maybe not. Or if you have a particular interest in an area, you could do the same sort of thing. Deep research always comes back with like a clarifying uh, set of questions where you can dictate time period, just depending on what it is you're asking, just so that it can have something to focus on. So I set near future for the time period. I put satirical for the tone and style. Technology, I wanted to do something other than AI. I was actually asking my wife for answers to these questions, and she said AI, but I told her every single story is about AI. So this will likely probably bleed into it, but hopefully not. Surveillance. Um, Tarot and astrology, that was her stuff. And then, a series, a television series, which I originally didn't want to do, but I figured, all right, let's just make it hard. And then inspirations. Oh, she loves Wes Anderson and I love Stephen King. So I thought it'd be funny to put the two of them together. So then it went out, took 10 minutes, and then came back with this exhaustive PDF where it has like thematic exploration of different ideas like fate, free will, algorithmic prediction versus astrological destiny, stuff that has nothing to do with narrative theory. Um, Certainty versus mystical uncertainty, research about technology and surveillance, and then tarot and astrology in a modern context, which I found super interesting. And then, of course, it has all the citations, so you can jump to the different places and learn more. And then character sketches. So it came up with 6 characters, and I haven't really read this, although I did do something just to kind of put it together, which I'll show you in a second. So I have a basic run of the idea of the different people. I know there's an astrology cafe, and there's about 6 different people: Stella, Victor, Marisol. These are it's just based on all the research it found, which is kind of interesting way to get started. And then lastly, locations and world building. So yeah, there's an astrology cafe and a secret surveillance bunker, an abandoned church tech startup, Starview Observatory and Planetary Hackerspace. So, just like different locations that would be in that area because I have no attachment whatsoever to this story because I just wanted to show how everything works. And then, of course, the visual and tonal style, which is obviously just keyed in from those last 2 people from Wes Anderson and Stephen King. Oh, and then lastly, it threw up some potential plot seeds. It threw up some plot seeds, which would be different ideas for different things. So we'll get into that later. All right. So what I did is I copied and pasted this into. You could probably put all as one PDF. That's what you get to download here. But I wanted to both test out the platform and then also show how I would do it anyways, personally. So what I did is I came into Narrato here. All right, which is very seen it or you haven't used it yet. Uh, it's very simple, very much inspired by Codex from ChatGPT or from OpenAI. Very, very much. I will admit it because I love it and it's perfect for what it is that we're doing. So, yeah, so you have your typical chat box up here, stories, docs, platform, all that good stuff. So if I went to uh, stories, so what I did, this is what I did behind the scenes to get prepped for this. I went into stories and then I just created a new story, which is essentially just like a big giant project folder, and then love under surveillance. And once you're in here, there's a couple different sections. So you can see here what I did is I uploaded all the documents. So I split all those sections from that deep research into markdown text files. I made them look pretty. and kind of put delimiters in there, so like header tags and bold some things here and there, just to kind of call out specific sections. But essentially, I have the plot seeds, the visual and tonal style, character sketches. I just listed out all the characters. And then I just wanted to see, I put each of them in their own separate text file. And then, all the other stuff that's there. Now, what's super cool about this, the way that I set up Narrato is that there is a section for uploading documents to your story. And then as we get into the story form, we don't have any story forms here yet, but once we figure out the story form, which could be for a series, it could be a story form for the first season, probably the pilot episode. I think that's the most I will do. And then, if I really cared about this and I wanted to do like multiple seasons, you would figure out a story form for the multiple seasons. Well, in this case, um, you have a section where you can upload all the world building stuff to the story, which is kind of the broad overreaching context. And then once we have the story form, you'll be able to have a separate section. So then you can work on separate. We would probably do a story form for each episode, maybe. Um, and then you would just upload all the world building or whatever it is that you wanted to, any kind of character sketches, other conversations you've had elsewhere and other places. Anytime you're working on the story drafts of the thing you're working on, just upload it into that story form, and then it works really well uh, when you're working all that stuff out. So right now, just for the story, I have it here in the story building area of it, so that when I go back into here, right now there's no context set. So if I ask any kind of question, if I wanted to learn about Dramatica theory, anything, it'll do the typical thing and go through and answer, any kind of question. So for instance, I'm new to Dramatica, not really, but can you explain how the relationship story through line works to me? And what this does is Narrato, as opposed to Muse, is multi-agentic, which means it can go out and there's a bunch of different experts in the field. One who's really good at theory, one who's really good at story forming. And I can hone in their understanding because if you ask the same question in chat, usually you'll get something that's reasonably close, but because there's so many different interpretations and so much going on, it could be off. So the advantage of this is I can silo it all off, yet still refer specifically to chapters in a theory book. I can do like here's a seminar from Phillips and Huntley, and there should be um, Phillips 20 writing complete stories. I almost feel like that's me, but maybe it's Melanie. Um, Narrative first. Oh, it says J. Phillips. That's an interesting bend. So I guess that's Jim Phillips as opposed to Melanie Ann Phillips. But yeah, it has all the articles from Narrative First that are also in there. I will say too, just really quickly, if you are an expert in Dramatica theory and you come across something that seems a little bit off, if you could thumb up, thumb down, and kind of give feedback, that's a way to instantly improve the system overall. If you don't see this, you need to go into your preferences and then the training and data controls, you need to turn this on. I have this set off. I'm not stealing the ideas. We're not taking your character, like none of that matters. We're not going to train on the actual stories because anybody who does that is wasting their time. It's more just about are the responses that are coming back aligned with Dramatica theory, and are you getting the very best response? It has nothing to do with like story ideas. We have there's no value in your story ideas or our platform. Not that your story ideas are bad. It's just not how story works. Okay, so that out of the way, let's go back to the story. Okay, so then what you have here, so I asked completely out of context that last question, and it just came up with, uh, something that was completely not within any kind of context that's there. So here, understanding the relationship story through line. If I went back there, this is that same uh, thing, and I could learn as much as I wanted to about the relationship story. Mind meld. Yes, between me and Melanie. It's really fun. There's a lot of stuff that I think a lot of people will be really happy with that we're doing in the background that should make everything much more pleasant for everybody. Okay. So, plus it's something that I've always wanted to do ever since I discovered Dramatica 29 years ago. Okay. So when it comes to the context, I had no context set. So if you turn on the context, then you can go and turn on sources for the stories that you're working on, and then also any story forms you have. So, for instance, if I'm working on what is that we're working on today, I would turn on the Love Under Surveillance story form, or I'm sorry, story. You'll see a little icon that pops up here for that story context, just to remind you that you're in the story context for Love Under Surveillance. And then anything I do, if for some reason I want to draw upon those files, it'll have all that in there. It'll have all that context in there, so you can develop that story as much as you want. Um, and you'll see here then down here in this whole list of conversations you have had, if they have any sort of context attached to them, they'll be listed here. So another thing that we'll be doing is part of showing how the NCP works. We're going to take something that's missing a significant piece of um, story, which would be a Nightmare Before Christmas. The relationship story through line is missing. So we're going to use that as an example of, of what you would have there. So just have the story turned on. You could conceivably just have a story form context on. So if you come in here and you just have a story form, and you can see here the list of story forms because my account has all the 600 plus story forms. Obviously, that's not easy to navigate, but I could come in here and turn that on and work on that particular story form to add stuff to it. You could just have the story form. So, for instance, Nightmare Before Christmas. Um, and that's all I did is I just came into Narrato and I said I have the settings for a new story form, which is change, resolve, decision, time lock, success, good, objective story and physics, main character and universe, and the main character pivotal element is temptation, and then linear problem solving. Um, so you can come in here, and this is just a way to very quickly put the story form into the application. Uh, so what's really really great about this new system is that like I was saying, it goes to different agents. If it goes off to the story forming agent who knows a whole lot about all the rules that go with Dramatica theory and that kind of stuff, will occasionally make mistakes because I can see it says with the origin story, but will eventually correct itself. But you can read the chain of thought, which is a really great way to learn Dramatica theory as you're going through it. Because in the same way that in the past you would have to go spend all this time to learn Dramatica theory to use it, you can either leave this closed and just leave it up to the intelligence, or if you want to learn why different things are being set the way they are and why these different aspects come into play, this is a great insight into the kind of reasoning that goes on behind the scenes. So it's really, really fun to read through all that stuff, and it's a great learning tool. So I just put in what I know to be the bare minimum that'll get you a complete story form, and it added in what the inferred growth is, the inferred approach of the main character, explained why those inferences matter, and then told me I needed to pick the goal, which I knew wasn't a thing that I needed to figure out. So I just said that should be enough to finalize the story form, and then that's when it will go through and check it out. And it said, yeah, great, everything's good. Oh, it just needed the title. It's very specific. So I just said Nightmare Before Christmas, and then it locked in the story form, put all those pieces in there, happy creating. And then this popped up, which is the symbol for story form, the whole nucleus thing. So what's super cool about that is you can click on that and then you'll be able to see all the different story points. I just put in like 7 or 8 that were required, the bare minimum for a story form. And then it went through and put the rest of it in there. And so what's fantastic about having this now is now that you have the story form, as you go through and build out the narrative, it will always have this in context in the background and kind of always try to pull you back, and it should, to this story form, which really works really, really cool. I have a great project that I hope someday to be able to share, which is much more commercial in nature, but it works out really, really cool. So I'm going to try and do the same thing, but something completely made up. All right. So that is a brief look at the context. And the only thing you should know is currently you can only have a total of uh, 2 different contexts. So I could have the love under surveillance. Um, oh, I think it still has that's funny. Let's do the love under surveillance story form. And then, oh, because there's a story form there. Oh, wait, there we go. I'll just throw this story form and Bruno, which is like a circus animal thing. All right, so I have 2 contexts set here, the story and the story form. That is it. I can't upload an additional file to this conversation. Someday, maybe. And there's probably a workaround I could do. But for right now, if you try to do that, it should tell you no. Oops. Did that pop up? It probably popped up. That's fine. Um, yeah, it should tell you no. I haven't rolled that out yet, but it'll tell you no, and you either have to turn off one of the contexts or upload it directly to that story resource. So just know that going forward. All right, that should be a lot of the stuff that's in there. Brandon, wow, yeah, it's really fun. My problem is when I start to test it, then I get carried away working on stories because then I have too much fun putting this together. Okay, so let's do okay, so again, love under surveillance. It's a little hot, so I'm gonna turn on the air conditioner. Getting a little heated here. Whew, let's bring this temperature down. Okay. All right. So prior, I wanted to test this out and make sure it was working. So the main character of this piece is Aurora. Let me just go up to just show you what that looks like. Char- Her name is Rory Medina, the believer in destiny. She's the romantic lead, late 20s. Okay. And she runs the offbeat astrology cafe in town. All I know about her. And then, as I said, there's about 5 other characters that it had listed out. And you probably go into a story knowing who the main character is, but maybe not, for what it was worth, but maybe not. You don't know the other, like who the influence character is supposed to be. Oh, Rob says, I was able to upload an additional document when in story and story form context. Yeah, it probably shouldn't have worked. If it worked, that's interesting. And I'll have to look into why that actually worked. Um, Technically, it shouldn't work, but you'll have to let me know if that actually worked. Okay, so then um, it did. Okay, well, then I will look into that deeper. As I was informed, it was only going to be 2 of them, but I will look into that. Thank you. All right. All right. So Roy, oh, what I was talking about. So you probably know who your main character is, but maybe you don't know who the influence character is. So this is a good test of that. So let me go back to the platform here. Oh, I won't take it away. If that works, then that's great. Um, I was under the impression that I could only do 2 sources at once, but if that works, I'm totally good with it. I just want to see if that did work. Okay, so then Oh, looking for the main. Okay, so I did a test beforehand. All I did is I set the context to that love under surveillance. I uploaded all those files. And I said, looking at the list of characters in this story based on the uploaded files, who would you think would make the best influence character for Aurora? So I wanted to show this. I need to ask the user to share a list of characters or provide a proposed approach. I can't choose an influence character without character information. Well, yeah, of course. I was very specific. I said based on uploaded files, and usually that works. Um, and then it went to explain who the influence character is. So maybe you don't know if you're just new to this, but in Dramatica terms, the influence character is the perspective that consistently challenges the main character's way of seeing the world. So not protagonist, antagonist, but more emotional. Not emotional, sorry, more subjective. So that main character has their own personal problems, and then along comes somebody who has a different way of doing things, but is somewhat similar, somewhat different, and they get into a little tussle. So it's because it doesn't think it has the list of characters, it's trying to explain the influence character in me, which is nice. Thank you very much. Um, and so then I got a little heated because I was worried maybe it wasn't working. But I said, "Do you see any files listed here?" And it'll say either read documents or collected notes. And then yes, finally now it's actually going through and reading through everything. So, and it said the recommended influence character for Aurora is Ethan Chen. And if you want to see how it came up with that idea, you can read again through the chain of thoughts. I haven't located a character list. I think I'll try searching again with terms like characters, Aurora, character list, and Ethan. I mean, it said I haven't located. Oh, it did. I think it just got the character list. I don't know what it did, but and then it started to get the names of the different characters. I see the file list characters. You can see what it's doing, including Aurora, who's the romantic lead and a believer in destiny. The user is asking which character might serve as the best influence character for her. This character should really challenge Aurora's worldview. I need to look at her detailed description in another file to draw insightful comparisons and see who might fulfill that role effectively. This is great. This makes me so happy. One, because Muse could sort of do this, but it would just spin indefinitely, and I forget what I had one little indicator in there, and then sometimes it would just crash. So this is really exciting to me because this is what I had hoped everything could do, like 3 years ago when I did started putting AI and all this, and now it's finally doing it. So I was going through reading all this stuff. I'm looking at how to define the influence character for Rory, who believes in mysticism. Ethan seems like a fitting choice as a skeptical coder. Oh, especially as they represent opposing worldviews, the tech skeptic versus the mystic. Wonderful. All right. And then, yeah, it finished up. And then gives, the nice little chart here. It's dramatic a perspective, but I don't see that there. Opposing worldview. Aurora is a believer in destiny, steeped in astrology. Ethan is a skeptical coder who prides himself on being rational and scoffs at notions of luck or destiny. Um, One of the things I have in here is to make sure that it has, provide evidence. It's one thing to just kind of guess, but then to actually provide the evidence, kind of like in the user group meetings that we've been doing for 30 years, where somebody might say, "Oh, the story outcome is success," and then it's like, "Well, why? Prove it. What's the evidence you have there?" This is doing the same thing. And the proof here: an influence character must offer the alternative paradigm that continually needles the main character. Ethan's data-driven faith in algorithms confronts Rory's faith in the stars, creating the essential "you and I see life differently." Perfect, because the main character is supposed to be the I perspective, and then the influence character is the you perspective. So then that's why they have that conversation. You and I are both alike. No, I'm nothing like you. So it's picking up on that. They're also the two romantic leads, meaning Ethan can interact with Rory in nearly every act and at the most vulnerable moments. Perfect. Evidence: Dramatica asks the influence character to stay present or be handed off. Wow. That's a new addition I just put in. Long enough to keep pressure on the main character. A love interest naturally has that access. Okay, thank you. Built-in thematic engine. Mini story beats already pit Ethan's algorithms against Rory's tarot. For example, the compatibility test episode seed. Oh, okay. Their ongoing debate turns the abstract concern. Oh, can love be quantified? I think that's the thematic thing. Can love be, put into data? I think. Oh, that's interesting. Into concrete scenes, fueling both objective and relationship story through lines. Growth potential. Ethan's arc moves from pure logic to embracing uncertainty. Oh, it already has an arc for him, mirroring the shift he provokes in Rory, finding balance between destiny and free will. Oh, dang. Okay. So it's doing the thing where everything is equal and everybody changes. So it looks like Ethan's arc is logic to uncertainty, and Rory's is balance between destiny and free will. So we'll work that out. A strong influence character not only challenges the main character, but also changes or steadfastly refuses to in a way that spotlights the main character's own evolution. This is beautiful. Why not the others? Victor Caldwell, I don't know who this is. He embodies the antagonistic extreme of techno surveillance. His scenes are more plot, objective story than personal reflection with Rory, so he better fits the villain antagonist function. Technically, villain is a character who's both the antagonist and the influence character in the same narrative. Um, so that's fine. I'll let that go. But still, the fact that it would ignore Victor because he's more antagonistic and more plot oriented is beautiful. Stella Marconi. As a mystical mentor, she reinforces Roy's existing belief system rather than challenging it. Whoa, that's usually a thing where sometimes people get caught up and they think the influence character is some sort of character that's like attached to the main character who really is there to help the main character work through the main character through line, not necessarily in an influence character. I always go back to Shape of Water, where I thought it was such a ripoff of Amelie that I thought her neighbor, who was the painter, was her influence character in the same way that the neighbor of Amelie was the influence character. But he wasn't, in that he wasn't challenging her or preventing some sort of alternate viewpoint for her to grow. He was just there to help her work through her main character through line. So that's just a little juicy tidbit of information. And then the other, Marisol Vega or Al Kim, great comedic foils, but the files position them as sidekicks, not the philosophical counterweight Rory needs. Beautiful. If you're happy naming Ethan Chen as Rory's influence character, the next decision is to clarify how their opposing perspectives translate into the four through lines. Main character is Rory, and her personal thing is internal mystic struggle. Her influence character is going to be Ethan, the external data struggle. The relationship story obviously will be their romance. And then the objective story through line is society versus surveillance regime. I actually love all those. Let me know if you'd like to lock that in or explore alternative configurations. Remember, we can always backtrack if it doesn't feel right once other story form features fall into place. Okay, so I'm just going to actually pick it up right here and start working. And if anybody has any questions as I go through, what I'm going to try and do, I just want to show how you can get to the story form, I guess is what I'm going to do. I really just wanted to show how amazing it is that you can just upload all these files, all this storytelling, which is on the surface, you know, uh, seems like story. And then underneath all the subtext where Dramatica shines, you can go through and actually get all the meaningful content out of it. All right. So that is tremendous. That makes me very happy. Let's take it from here. Okay, so then I'm going to say all of these are great. Um, Yeah. All of those sound great. Um, Let me know if you'd like to lock that in. I don't want to do alternative configurations. All of those sound great. I have no concept of the focus on the OS through line first. It seems like the main character and influence character are pretty well uh, figured out story wise. So I have a feeling those could go anywhere as far as the kind of conflict we're going to explore. So I'm going to look at the plot first. Rob, is it better to split up all the surface storytelling files? I would say yes, because you get the dual thing of um, not only the file name it searches for, because it's kind of like a combination of both semantic searching and then also like traditional keyword search. So I would definitely, if you can, I would break them up into different sections. You could put a whole draft in there and it works pretty well. Like I've uploaded full screenplays, and it does a really phenomenal job of, especially if you have the page numbers and all that stuff, of going through and identifying act breaks and everything. It's really, really cool. Um, but since we have the story form and we know where the act breaks are as writers, if you can break them up into acts, you'll get more specific answers. So it won't have to think that step. It's almost like if you were to hand it off to somebody like me and you were to say, like, hey, can you look over this whole screenplay? It's like, "Ah, all right, fine. I have to figure out where the story drivers are, like where the plot breaks are. And then I have to go back in and say, okay, is this happening here? Okay. So if you can divide that up ahead of time, then it saves the person who's reading it more time and they can just give more insightful advice without wasting time on mechanical stuff. So that's why I did it the way that I did it. If you didn't see, you might have popped in late, but I went over that in the beginning where I showed how I broke it up into I had a big giant deep research thing and I just extracted all the sections and put them into about 12 different text files. All right, let's focus on the objective story through line first. I really have no concept of what this is going to be. Let's make this the story form for the first season, and maybe this will end up being one of those, one and done seasons. Um, you know, so let's figure that out. So for right now, what does that look like? All right, let's see. Mm, Right. That's offensive. The user wants to shape the objective story through line, but they don't quite grasp what that means. I mean, I do. I just I'm not sure what I want to do. Purpose. Okay, so this is great. So this gets me really excited because I think everybody should learn Dramatica theory. Obviously, if you don't have time for it, um, that's on you. But at least this way, you get to learn it as you go along. The objective story through line tracks the one conflict that everyone in the story is objectively dealing with: heroes, villains, sidekicks, extras in the street. Think of it as the season long problem statement. Everything that happens in plot A should be a facet of that same core issue. Two decisions anchor the objective story. The domain, which kind of conflict is it? Is it an external situation, an external activity, internal manipulation, or fixed mindset? I have no clue. Concern. Within that domain, which type of conflict feels most season defining? Example for physics, it could be doing versus obtaining. Universe, it could be past versus progress. Let's handle domain first. I will flag this in a second. Actually, let me read the whole thing first. Let's handle domain first. Four canonical domain choices and how each would color season one. All right, this I love so much. All right, universe. All right, so if we have these four domains, which would be where would we put the source of conflict for this series? Where are we going to put it, and what is that going to look like? I have a guess of what I would do blindly, but let me see if something more intriguing comes up. If we put it in universe, which is kind of posing conflict as an external state or frame, we okay, what Love Under Surveillance season one, we live in a city where 24/7 monitoring is baked into the very environment. It's the state of being watched that causes trouble. If this was like a sci-fi dystopian thing, maybe I would do that. Do you see? Because it's more about like the situation they're all trapped in and how they're gonna like escape from all that stuff. I don't necessarily, like Matrix sort of thing. I don't think that's gonna work. Example moments that fit. Ah, citizens line up for mandatory compatibility scans. All right, so this is storytelling that I didn't read because I didn't read any of that stuff. Rory's Cafe risks closure because it sits atop a secret surveillance bunker. Oh, okay, rad. This is like the lives of others, but Wes Anderson style. Okay, but I that would be that's interesting because then the whole conflict is the fact that the cafe is physically on top of a secret surveillance bunker. That's actually interesting. All right, so I would not have thought of that, but that's actually compelling. All right, so if we shifted instead to physics, which would be external processing, action reaction races, install tech, hack tech, launch countermeasure. I don't know what any of that is. The season is about doing things, building systems, breaking systems, and pulling capers. Heists to steal data keys. Victor beta tests drone upgrades while heroes sabotage them. Wow, that does not sound fun. I mean, yeah, that does not sound like a fun thing. Rob links in relationship story equals romance equals physics. That you're skipping ahead, but yeah, that would have been my guess, or at least where I would have defaulted to. But I just wanted to go over the different flavors, and I might do because this is like if I was to do a Wes Anderson thing, I'm trying to think. I don't necessarily know if a lot of his films have complete story forms. I've done Asteroid City in here, and it kinda sorta says, yeah. I don't necessarily think a lot of what it says is correct, but, um, yeah, what Rob is saying is of most romantic comedies well, I mean, there's 2 ways. One is the more, slapsticky, kind of fun, zany romantic comedy like My Best Friend's Wedding, you would put the objective story in physics, whereas a lot of the majority of them, it's in this third one, psychology, which would be source of conflict based on everybody's sort of dysfunctional psychologies, just how crazy they are. Manipulating how people think and behave through predictive algorithms. Conflict stems from wide scale conditioning and self censorship. Okay. Examples True Match app forces couples to question real feelings. Citizens start rating each other's trust quota in real time. That is like the Black Mirror episode where uh she has likes and she flips out and loses her mind. I forget which one that's called. It's the one that Bryce Howard directed. Um that has an objective story in psychology. See, that's what I would have done. So far, I actually like the universe one the best, which surprises me. Mind, internal framing, entrenched attitudes about privacy versus transparency. It's the clash of unshakable beliefs that drives turmoil. City council debates nothing to hide doctrine. Oh, That's funny. Protesters chant private hearts, public lies, while pro surveillance groups counter protest. I mean, that's pretty heavy. Uh, Interesting that tarot is a type of ancient algorithm. Yeah, if you look at the research, in the deep research, it says that. That'll be an interesting thing to pull out. Um, all right. I would say out of all of these, and this is really going to change the feeling of it, I actually think universe to me, just the fact that their cafe is on top of the surveillance bunker and it can't be moved, and it's just going to create this like, mysticism and surveillance. Maybe there's something deeply, so that's the external version of it, right? And then of course, the two people, the main character and influence character, will be a more subjective version of that. That actually feels really nice. Okay. Meaning emerges from the relationships among choices, not any single choice, which is 100% correct. It has a tendency to keep saying this over and over again, and I will try and find different ways for it to say that. It's correct. Just know it's going to come up a lot. Meaning emerges, yeah, because we're going to pick one of these, but that one choice isn't the be all end all because it's the relationship between everything once we get it all coordinated into place that is the meaning of the story, not the fact that we're choosing just the one. So, how to use this? Pick or combine a domain. You can't combine a domain that best fits the season arc you imagine. Next, we'll zoom into the matching set of concerns so your season one story engine is locked. Does one jump? Does one domain jump out? Want a quick comparison between two favorites, or do you feel a hybrid is needed? We can explore, but we'll still choose one canonical. Oh, that's interesting. All right, that's fair. So what it's saying is because see, this is why I think this is amazing. In past Dramatica, you had drop downs, and once you made that choice, you got locked out of everything. You had to mentally, oh wait, no, if I want to change this, I have to go back and do this and change that. This is going to do it all for you. So when it says hybrid, what it's saying is maybe I like universe, maybe I like psychology. Let's just do universe psychology for now, and then let's move on to the other stuff. And then eventually we're going to get to one domain. But right now, my head's kind of in both places. This lets you do that, which to me is phenomenal. It's interesting because I have 30 years of experience of nailing it down. Um, so it's a little unnerving to be able to do that. Let me know and we'll drill down to the concern that will keep every episode pointing at the same North Star. That's a great analogy. I okay. Okay, this is way out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to go with the OS in universe. I do want to do one thing, which was this doing versus obtaining. That's not a thing in dramatic theory. So I just want to make sure doing versus obtaining is not a thing. Cool. Thumbs down. Then this will get smarter the next time around. By the time you use it, hopefully that won't be a thing. This is way out of my comfort zone, but okay. But I'm going to go with the OS in universe. And I think that's it. I'm just going to do that for right now. So you can see it's drawing upon the files here, right? Did it read through? It might be reading through because it has the files from this previous. It has already read through those to kind of grab other ideas to find out the different domains. All right, great. Objective story domain is in universe. In Dramatica, a universe objective story means everyone's conflict springs from a fixed external state. For season one of Love Under Surveillance, that's funny. It's like love above surveillance. That situation is the citywide panopticon where love, work, even moods are continuously recorded and judged. This is super cool. You can see there's a weird space here. That's actually a reference to a specific file that I've uploaded. Um, I haven't put the citations in yet, but that's super cool. So it'll call out that actual file where that shows up. I have to add that in there. It's on my list. All right, so choose the objective story concern. Within universe, there are four canonical concerns. Each will appear once. Cool. Each will appear once per act, but one will dominate as the season-long preoccupation. I get very happy when it gets smarter, because that was an issue before, and I've fixed that. Okay. So yeah, these are the four concerns that are under universe, or at least the makeup universe. Each of them will end up being an act. One of them will show up as the season-wide focus. Past. Okay, so season-long spin, and it'll give a different flavor to what the show will feel like. Digging up old data that incriminates or defines citizens. Ugh, sealed juvenile records, long deleted love messages, karma scores from childhood. Oh, that's depressing. Sample episode hook. Victor resurrects Rory's teen chat logs to discredit her privacy campaign. Perfect. There's an episode. Progress. And what'll happen is, so for instance, let's pretend this is the order that this season goes in. It's not probably going to be, but let's say it is. I mean, it could be. And let's just say we had 8 episodes. You would likely have episodes 1 and 2 deal with this past. Then in episodes 3 and 4, we move on to how things are changing. Then in episodes 5 and 6, we start worrying about the future. And then finally, 7 and 8, we end up in the present. I mean, this could end up being the entire season right here. Let's see. Progress. The ongoing expansion of surveillance, new drones, stricter love scoring, creep of monitoring from streets into bedrooms. Heroes race to stop Omnidata's version 2.0 rollout before the city signs a 50-year contract. All right, that's not bad. Future. Algorithmic predictions dictate who may marry, work, or even be born. Citizens fear statistics stamped on their life. So by this time, if this is like the end of the traditional Act Two, so 2B, maybe Ethan and Rory are already in love, and now, the algorithm says they can't be together. A breakup forecast says 90% of couples will split within 6 months. I might actually just rip this off for the entire triggering mass panic weddings. Let's see here. The oppressive here and now reality of being watched. Okay, wait. So then this would be the last one. The oppressive here and now reality of being watched. Self censorship, public shaming, real time truth or transparency events. Hmm. Victor hosts a citywide live stream where secrets auto leak unless participants stay honest in real time. Oh, I could see that where then she's honest, and even though her privacy's not there, um, she's actually able to, maybe she changes, and then that is what brings them together in the end. You'll see, yeah. See, meaning emerges from the relationships. Okay, we get it, dude. We get it. It's always nice to have positive reinforcement. Okay. I got so caught up in how that works out perfectly for the entire plot that I might just leave it. One of the aspects, for those who know here, Dramatica theory, problem solving is like linear or holistic. If you have a holistic problem solving, 3 out of the 4 through lines are going to go on their basic default path. That's just part of the narrative structure. So if this were to be a holistic female mental sex series, which I have no business writing, which might actually be interesting, eh, it might end up being this path. Anyways, but that's not the question. The question is, what is the season-long preoccupation? Oh, any hints? Pick the one that instantly feels like the season 1 obsession. I mean, the only one that seemed fun was Progress. Future is kind of good. Present. You don't think that's too boring? Narrow to 2 and ask for a deeper comparison. All right, let's do this. Rob picks the present. I'm going to pick Progress. So my buddy here picked present, and I'm thinking progress. Uh, what would the series look like colored by each of these so we can see who wins? What would the series look like colored? All right, because it'll have a significant difference. The progress one, I think would be more fun. Present, I can see. I have a different take on it. Like the present, this is like the last 15, 20 years. If you look at most best picture, this is where everybody's head was. Um, Prior to that, everybody's head was here, and now everybody's head is here. Um, Trend wise, culturally wise, I really shouldn't pick based on that, but all right. So story for me. Did it go through and do that? Okay. Universe plus present, universe plus progress. Okay, here's the objective story concern showdown. Below is a side by side taste of how season one would feel if the whole cast were wrestling with the present, the immediate claustrophobic reality of being watched right now. All right, that does sound more Wes Anderson y. Progress, the creeping, unstoppable rollout of more surveillance every week. That's more Stephen King. I picked the present because it makes the relationships more complicated. Oh, interesting. Well, right off the bat, I like present here better, anyways. Ooh, cool. Season long log line in a city. Oh, that's a cool way to do it. In a city where every heartbeat is already on record, the fight is to reclaim a single unmonitored moment today. Progress. Just when people adapt to one level of scrutiny, Omnidata unveils the next one. The resistance must halt the escalation before privacy reaches zero. Wow. That is a phenomenal way to figure out your log line. I would definitely probably go with present. Oh, episode energy. Hello. Pilot hook. Citizens wait to find their live emotional dashboards projected on public billboards. That's not nice. No hiding how you feel this morning. I'm just going to go straight down. Mid-season. Victor hosts the Truth or Transparency Gala where secrets leak in real time. Okay. Comic B plot. Al's mood ring wristband keeps outing his crush on Marisol. He tries absurd hacks. Okay. Climactic showdown. Objective blackout the city. Oh, objective. Blackout the city for 60 minutes so everyone can feel unseen. Oh, one perfect hour. File idea. Citizens together in candlelight. Oh, that must be one of the ideas from the files that I uploaded. Dang. Progress colored episodes. I could do this all day. Um, okay, so then this is the progress ones, which I know I'm gonna hate. Omnidata announces drone upgrade. Facial rec cams are now emotion reading cams. Launch countdown 30 days. You instantly you get the totally different feel of what that's going to feel like. The city council votes on a 50-year contract for Omni sensor lampposts. Heroes mount a last-minute sabotage to derail the vote. Each patch Tuesday brings a crazier feature. Location-based breakup alerts. Sidekicks scramble to exploit bugs before they're fixed. And then the objective at the end, stop Big Eye version 2.0 from coming online during a solar eclipse. Failure means cameras literally see in the dark. Okay, that's funny. Tower episode. Definitely present. So we're gonna go with present. Oh, some tone and stakes. A lot of ticking clock moments. Lovers whisper, drones hover. Loss of day-to-day dignity. Interesting. Progress. Ticking clock rollouts. Strategic tension is hacks, counter hacks. Permanent loss of future freedom. That's interesting. How the four signposts might feel. Order still flexible. Okay, so then it's going through and doing that. I wonder what that asterisk is for. Impact on other through lines. Present concern, intimacy scenes about sharing space under the lens. Okay, maybe that's what Rob's referring to. Which one is more boring now? Progress concerns, fights over how far to go in sabotage. Yeah, that's kind of lame. Ethan fears escalation could hurt innocence. Oof. No, that's not what I'm interested in. Present. Authenticity versus performance in the moment versus complacency versus resistance. Yeah. Okay. If your gut wants visceral claustrophobia, minute to minute comedy drama being watched, present wins. If instead I was looking for a thriller tempo of stopping the next upgrade, strategic heists, and policy showdowns, progress wins. Okay. Let me know which resonates will lock the concern and immediately set. Oh, you're going to set the benchmark. Story goal. Ripple effects for main character influence. Okay, well, present for sure. And I should say, the more definite you are, um, the more it gives weight or preference to the choices. So that's another thing. Past, you could do drop downs and click stuff, but it's just like one or zero. It's either on or it's off. This is measuring things that you're really excited about, things that are kind of like given to you. You know, I choose this, and because of that, this, and then stuff that's open, and they all get different weights attached to them. So just know that the more specific you are, just say the things that you specifically really care about, and it'll help you get the story form that you want in the end. Okay, so well, present for sure. Can't even believe I thought progress would work. Man, all right, let's see how far I can go here. And I will definitely be following up on this because this is way too much fun. So hopefully it'll give us an idea of what Rory and Ethan's through lines look like. Explaining benchmarks. I personally don't even care about the benchmarks, but let's see what it says. Okay. What we picked next. Story goal. Okay, so for the objective story goal, automatically the same type and concern as the objective story, which is right, so present. The goal is therefore resolve this oppressive present situation. Totally. Astrology cafe, surveillance underneath. How are we gonna right now? We can't worry about the future. We can't worry about how things were. Like, what are we gonna do? In practice, this cast might aim to create one sustainable blind spot blackout. Ooh, cool. Or legal loophole that restores privacy right now. Ah, that'd be cool. The only place is the astrology cafe because it's right above the surveillance bunker. Maybe there's like a natural blind spot there. Benchmark. The yardstick type will use to measure progress or failure each act. Must be a different universe type. That is correct. Whichever we choose will appear once per act as the subplot metric. That is also correct. Okay. This is very specific, though. Have we undone or exposed old data that still shackles people? I This is hurting my head because I usually don't think of benchmarks. The benchmarking concern, so the concern is the real source of conflict. The benchmark is usually what people talk about and what they like are use as a measuring stick for the concern. Have we undone or exposed the old data that still shackles people? How fast is surveillance tightening? Oh, usually what happens is the thing that you think the concern is ends up being the benchmark. So maybe progress ends up being the benchmark. Are we changing the forecast? Each act tracks shifts in algorithmic predictions. There it is again. Meaning emerges from the relationships. Your move. I am going now. Here's the thing where I'm going to skip the benchmark because that's way too much for me. Uh, let's put that whole benchmark thing on hold for right now. Where are we in terms of all four through lines, their domains and concerns? So I'm just asking it to kind of let's put it together and see where we are. Uh, who watches the watchers? No one because they outlawed it. This is fun. Thanks for being here, Rob. Okay. Below is a snapshot of the story form so far. Okay, so these are my locked in choices. I picked the objective story, universe, and present. And then Dramatica's balancing role. Here's another opportunity. Because domains must cover all four corners, those other three domains. Once we fix the objective story universe, the model gives us two symmetrical ways to assign the three. We could do combo A, where Rory, her personal problem are her external deeds, and then Ethan's um, influence would be coming from internal manipulation. So he would either be a manipulative person or will be showcasing that. Their relationship story is going to be fixed mindsets between Rory and Ethan, and I feel like that is well established. The other one has Rory in psychology, so she's dealing with manipulation or dysfunction, and then he's impacting her or influencing her through physics, Ethan's outward tech actions. That would be my guess. Which fits our characters? So what's interesting is I love taking like what we're doing right now, where you take a whole bunch of story ideas and then you kind of try and figure out the story form. I love that. Melanie has a program called Storyweaver where you think your way to a story form as opposed to the story form corralling and structuring your ideas. That will become a part of Naruto, like so that I personally love this, but maybe in this case, this would be a great example of them wanting to go hand off to the other person, the new Melanie version. And because the way she explained it is Dramatica is, for those familiar with Dramatica, is knowledge, right? It's the K based part of it. And then her app, which is Storyweaver, is thought, like thinking your way into the same thing. So they work really well together, but a completely different way of getting to the story form. It's not set up. We're still like in the middle of putting it together. But this would be a place where it's kind of arbitrary right now. Which fits our characters? Rory, mystic, struggling with belief, because I really don't have a say one way or the other, or I don't have a thing that I think, a preference. Mystic, struggling with belief, feels internal psychology. Oh, that's funny. This is what I thought. Ethan, coder, builds hack systems, feels external. Oh, well, this would be a case where the story forming process is probably right. So combo B seems to sync with the story's DNA, but you could still choose A if you like a role reversal. Oh, I just read Rob's note. Who watches the watches? No one because they outlawed it, meaning that's why there's a blind spot around the cafe. That is a phenomenal idea. I'm gonna capture that. Um, how do I want to capture that? That is such a cool idea. Um, Come back to that in a second. How concerns would fall automatically. Same deliberative family as present. If we go with B, okay, so then if the objective story is present, right now the whole city can't breathe. So then main character Rory, so this is going one step further. It's already assuming that psychology works, which I would think so. Rory struggled to envision a new way to love under the lens versus fatalistic scripts. Uh, Influence character Ethan. Learning. Ethan drives the plot by researching, coding, and pulling heists. Each step a lesson that pressures Rory. And then their relationship conscious. Their relationship hinges on what each knows or refuses to admit about trust and privacy. So what happens is this concern, which is currently called the deliberative family, has present, conceiving, learning, and conscious are kind of all in the same area, and it keeps the story having a relatively strong center, keeps the integrity of the narrative. Because if you had different concerns, it feels kind of broken. If you picked combo A, the same family would yield, yeah, learning and conceiving. Choose the domain combo. If you're good with B, those linked concerns slide into place automatically and you can move to the benchmark you put on hold. Hmm. Rory develops agoraphobia. I can't leave the safety of the cafe. Oh, wow. Really good at this, Rob. I will say, yeah, that's a really okay. So those are both two good points. Okay. All right. So let's go with um MC in psychology. And I'm gonna put she develops agoraphobia. Can't leave the safety of the cafe. So I'm just putting in Rob's note here just so that it knows the context of what why we like that, kind of like the storytelling. Because it put Roy struggled to envision a new way to love, and that might be part of it, but I actually like what Rob came up with as an actual personal problem, like somebody who can't leave the comfort and safety of that cafe. It's a bit dysfunctional. The other one, oh, and then for the OS present, um, probably the concern. Um, we have this. I'm saying we, even though I know it's your idea. We have this idea where um, the people doing all the surveillance obviously had it set up so that no one watches them, watches the watchers. No one. But because the cafe sits right on top of it, it has the unintended consequence of making the wow, this is super cool. Making the astrology cafe the only safe place in town because there's a blind spot, a physical blind spot on that exact location. That is phenomenal. Strangely, Ethan is very concerned about his own privacy, making sure no one learns about what he really does, who he really is. Rob's on fire today. You want to try and sell this? Current story forward progress. Um, let's see. Present. Everyone's torment. Okay. Is right now fact of being watched, except inside one freak blind spot beneath Roy's cafe. I mean, well, I meant the whole cafe area, but we'll get back to that. Psychology, conceiving. She keeps imagining, obsessing worst case scenarios, spiraling into cafe bound agoraphobia. Cool. Ethan, each episode he uncovers fresh intel or code tricks. I actually like Rob's thing, which I'm going to change here in a second. Conscious. Their romance hinges on what each other admits or suppresses in thought. If he knew my birth chart, if he knew I wrote that, or if she knew I wrote that algorithm. Oh, that's kind of cool. How your new ideas map neatly to these choices. Who watches the watchers? Narrative twist. The surveillance elite excluded their own bunker from the feed, creating a live blind spot. Oh, cool. That coincidentally covers Cosmos Cafe. The season's central tension keep that sliver of privacy alive before the authorities realize the loophole and seal it. Boom. All right. Conceiving. Her conflict is mental, not physical. She conceives terrifying outcomes every time she steps past the cafe door. The cafe becomes both sanctuary and prison. Over the season, she must conceive a new idea of safety, risking exposure for change. Dang. Ethan's drive. Each episode, he learns one more thing new exploit, policy file, historical secret that both helps the resistance and forces Rory to confront fresh realities. We can't hide forever. The net is tightening. That's not bad. Scenes focus on what each knows but won't say. Her horoscope warns she'd betray a lover. His code once flagged her as non-compliant. Wow, this is fun. Confessions or withheld knowledge become the heartbeat of their intimacy. Next, structural decisions. It's obsessed with the benchmark. I don't know why. But if you'd like to focus on how Roy's agoraphobic arc unfolds, uh, Yes, but before we move on, can you add in that Ethan is very concerned about his own privacy, making sure no one learns about what he really does and who he really is. Add that into his learning impact on Rory. And then the next thing I want to do, uh, I love what you came up with in terms of the story goal. I'm gonna open it up. Let's do this. Can we shift gears and move to the choice of pivotal element? Now, this is a thing that I made a bigger deal in subtext, which is the crucial element from Dramatica theory. So I made a pivotal element just as like character plot. It's the pivot. And I just did it because it was a shortcut way to get to a story form. Um, and I'll show all of the different choices and then we'll go back and then we'll put it aside and then people can catch up and then we'll pick it up next time. Concern of learning. Each episode, Ethan digs up a new exploit and double checks the system can trace it back to him. His secrecy adds weight to every lesson he forces on Roy. Look, we can fight the system, but only if nobody learns I'm the guy behind the axe. That self-protective streak helps keep the pressure on Rory to leave the cafe and share the load. Okay, I'm a little lost there, but we'll come back. The two pivotal elements, one for Rory and the dynamically paired opposite for Ethan, act like narrative fulcrums. Whichever element Rory ultimately embraces or abandons will decide the fate of the objective story. In Dramatica, they are chosen this way: pick Rory's resolve. Relinquished, which is a change main character resolve. She finally lets go of her old way of coping. Maintained, she remains steadfast. Ethan's the one who pivots. At the beginning, I probably would have said she was steadfast and he was changed. Um, but I think change now is probably more interesting for her. That choice plus outcome and growth tells us whether the all right, well, now it's just giving you the whole sauce, the secret sauce. Tells us whether the pivotal element pairs with the objective story problem solution or with the objective story symptom or response. Wow, that's a lot of stuff to think about. Both pivotal elements, again, this is the super smart Dramatica theory guy. So just know that's the headspace we're in. Both pivotal elements must come from the same element set. That is true. All right. Oh, funny. Dynamic pairs. That's not how that works. Our story goal type is present, which lives in delivery. Okay, so our elements are going to be acceptance versus non acceptance, certainty versus potentiality, deduction versus induction. Whew, these are unsexy. Evaluation versus reevaluation, inaction versus protection, proaction, reaction, probability. Okay, what's going to happen is one side will be Rory and one side will be Ethan. And in case you didn't know it already, meaning emerges from the relationships among choices, not any single choice. Step by step pick list. First, Rory's resolve. From hiding in the cafe to letting go of the need for absolute safety. Wow, there's a lot to choose here. Or she doubled down on privacy as a right. Ethan must shift to meet her. I actually don't know. I I do know I want this to be a happy ending and oof. All right, this is great. This is a great place to stop because now this is too much information. I would say so if her problem is agoraphobia, I kind of want to have her grow out of that. But I thought maybe she would be steadfast and he would change. Can't decide between change or steadfast. But I do know I want it to end in success good. I mean, we could do this. Can you maybe read through the character files for Rory and Ethan and pick what you would think would be the top three uh, pairs of elements for them? Um, Make sure you provide evidence as to why you came up with that. All right, and then I'll end it here in about 5 minutes. Let's see what it says. And maybe I'll post this like here so we can think about it. So it's reading through everything. Let's see. I'll note how these traits align with potential element pairs like acceptance versus non acceptance. I'm focusing on contrasting elements. Ethan uses deduction while Rory prefers intuitive induction. So what it's doing is it's going through those files and it's trying to see like, okay, I know what all these elements mean. What does it seem like the story? What does it look like? Oh, this is so much fun. All right. Below are three pairs that most naturally dramatize the tension between your two leads cited from the character files. Any of them will work whether Rory ends up changed or steadfast. We'll decide which side of the pair belongs to whom once you lock her resolve. All right. So this is independent of change or steadfast. So we're just going straight character. Ethan runs compatibility tests. Quotes. That's cool that it didn't force it one way. Okay. He trusts possibilities while Rory believes the universe has a plan and bakes zodiac cookies. She lives in open ended possibility. Every episode pits statistical odds against cosmic maybes. Okay. Deduction versus induction. Ethan's MO is analytic deduction. He starts with data sets and narrows to conclusions. Oh, that's cool. And then Roy's tarot and star chart readings are classic induction, which would also lead to the agoraphobia. She surveys symbols and intuits patterns about life and love. This pair foregrounds the intellectual clash. Code logic versus mystical. And that one I love. Inaction versus protection. Rory's new agoraphobia keeps her physically inactive. She won't leave. Oh, this one's very strong too. Ethan hacks only under layers of privacy, obsessively protecting. Oh, that's interesting. Making sure no one learns what he really does. A defensive seats using what I really cared about. A defensive motivation that drives conflict. The pair turns every plan into a push pull. Rory freezes, Ethan safeguards. Both must move toward healthy risk. Wow, that's beautiful. Well, I like two and three. It's funny that it put one. Um, how these pairs interact with a success good ending. Because you've already set the story outcome to success good, whichever element Rory ultimately embraces or refuses to abandon will tip the objective story to victory. Success comes when the city shifts from rigid probabilities towards liberating possibilities. Victory hinges on synthesizing cold deduction. This is too much for me. Freedom arrives. It's also slightly incorrect because if it's, I mean, it with the symptom in response, I mean, it could still work. Freedom arrives when Rory acts despite fear, and Ethan's expands to protect others, not just himself. Pick the pair you feel best crystallized. We're going to leave this open. So what I'll do is I'll put this last bit in the community and then discuss Dramatica so that people can talk about it, talk about it. Um, and then when we pick it up next time, I'm just going to find when Rob's available so he could be here. Wow, he went with number three. Let's see. He put, it seems like Ethan's heart grows softer As he sees how the oppressive surveillance is destroying her beautiful soul, he wants to make a world a better place for her so she can come to life. Oh, that's beautiful. Number 3. He likes number 3. I mean, all right. Well, I'm gonna post it up. I'll put the recording up once this is all set and done. Hopefully, this gives everybody a great idea. I mean, this is an hour and a half, and I mean, we already have a lot. We don't have the complete story form yet, but we have quite a bit. And you can see it's great. The advance where it doesn't lose the context and things don't fail. It's so nice. So what I'll do next time is we'll get to the story form and then work out how all the different episodes work, and then have the story form, how you can build out the entire story to an outline. You may be thinking, wow, that's a lot of information. So if I want to do this, then what do I have to do? Go through and copy paste this out? Part of the plan is you will just be able to say, oh, can you pull out all the story form, or yeah, all the storytelling out of here? So get rid of all the Dramatica junk and have the AI do it for you. So while you're sleeping, you wake up the next morning, or if you can wait 20 minutes or however long it takes. Kind of like a deep research thing where you set it off to go do something and then it comes back, that it'll extract everything out, put it in a nice little thing that you can download. So you don't have to copy paste it. Um, so that's in the works. But for now, you have to do it manually, which is what this copy button is here, which is what I will do to post it to discuss. All right. Thank you so much, especially Mr. Langston. Thank you for your help. That was really, really fun. Hopefully that helped a little bit. If anybody has any questions, either in the YouTube here or in the discuss, and we will pick this up another time, again, when people are available, and we'll continue to build love above surveillance. All right. Thank you. Stop sharing. Can't wait to start using it. Oh, cool. Yes, it's live, so go use it. If you already have subtext, just let me know. I can pull over the subscription. And everybody have a great time. There's lots of really fun stuff. Um, I mean, I'm always working on it, but I'm super excited that everybody can start using this right now. Excellent. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see everybody next time.